Hi, it's Jenny with Jenny's Wreath Boutique, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful wintry, not Christmas, wreath. This is great for all winter and all through spring. It's great, it's neutral, and it looks like you foraged it, but everything is faux, so you can use it for many years to come. Here's all the materials we're going to use. Look how pretty that is. I love it. This was inspired by my recent foraging trip when I made a fresh Christmas wreath, so I wanted to have the look of a really realistic winter wreath that's not Christmas so that you can have it up all the way till spring and actually all year round if you want. It's gonna be beautiful. I can't wait to show you. This wreath is gonna have a kit with it. So if you want to make this exact wreath yourself, you totally can. Everything I'm using here, I got wholesale. So that's why I'm offering a kit in case you want to use the exact materials as I have. I don't have a ton of kits available. So once they're sold out, they will be sold out. However, if you don't grab a kit or you're not able to, just look for the same idea that I'm using here and use what you have available to you. I'm using a 14-inch grapevine to make this wreath, and the wreath is going to be about 23 inches total in diameter. And if you want a bigger wreath, use an 18-inch grapevine if you want to make it a larger wreath and just get twice as much as I'm using. So if you're ordering a kit, get 2 of them. This kit is available with or without a grapevine. It's a little cheaper if you buy it without the grapevine and then get your own, or I can have a 14-inch grapevine in there with you. I'm also using my favorite glue gun and hot glue and my favorite wire cutters. As I prep this, grapevine is a little loose. I'm also going to be using some bind wire just to tighten it up a little bit. You don't have to do this, but it's a nice trick I use if you have a loose grapevine. It's nice to tighten it up and it makes wreath making go by a little faster and it'll make your wreath a little more sturdy. If you have any twigs sticking out, I would recommend trimming those first. This grapevine's pretty clean. There's a few leaves. You just clean them out. No grapevine is going to come perfect. Every grapevine needs some prepping. I just like to cut off any twigs that are sticking out. If anything looks like it might scratch your door, I like to trim that off. I kind of like to go through and feel it with my hand sometimes to make sure it's smooth, the parts that are sticking out the furthest. And then since this one's pretty loose, I'm just going to take some of my bind wire. I just buy mine off Amazon. I'm going to take this, just wrap it around and twist it. Cut the wire, and then I'll just put the ends back into the grapevine. And I'm just going to do this a few places around the grapevine to make it nice and tight and secure, but not too tight, because if it's too tight, you're going to have a hard time putting your stems into the grapevine. So we want it secure, but not crazy tight. I'm just adding the wire to a few different places. I don't pick my grapevines out in person. I order them from the Michaels Pro Packs usually. And so I get what I can. When I first started, I would go to the store and pick them out, but the Pro Packs are a better price and I do not have time to go pick out every grapevine. So you're going to get grapevines that aren't perfect. Some you're going to get boxes that are amazing and some that are less than great. And I like to use all of them. So this is just one of the ways I do that. But overall, this grapevine is actually a pretty good one. I like the ones that are a little bit more skinny. See, it's kind of skinny because when I ship my wreaths, it makes the wreath not as fluffy. And so I can use a thinner box, which will save me on postage. Okay, let me show you all the materials we're going to use for this wreath. First thing, I have 2 different kinds of, it's like a Norfolk pine, but they might have different names. But this is this nice droopy pine. I love the color. These are basically the same. I have 2 of this kind. The stems are connected. And then I have 1 of this where the stems are tied together. I'm using 1 bundle of these and then 2 of these. Then I have 2 different bundles of cypress or cedar, 2 different bundles. I've already taken the bundles apart, but 2 different bundles of this eucalyptus. I love the seed heads and that year-round texture. It looks so good. Then we're only going to use some of this. We're not going to use the whole bush, but I've got this juniper bush. Then I have these wild blueberry looking things. I love them. I was actually on a walk recently in my neighborhood, and one of my neighbors had a similar looking bush in their yard, in their front yard, and it had these beautiful blueberries. And it's like, you know, it snowed today. It's in the winter, and they just look so pretty. So I thought this was very appropriate for a winter wreath. And then I have these scabiosas. These are like what's left over on an actual scabiosa flower after the petals fall off, and I think they're so pretty. You can use this any time of year, but I thought you can find these in the fall and through winter depending on where you live. So I thought this would be really pretty, and I love that purple. Just gives a vibrance. And then I've got these maroon berries. You could use these for fall also. I love them for this winter wreath. I think they bring a moodiness, and I love that texture. You know, like the berries you would find in winter. Some thistle. I was actually looking for thistle when I was doing my foraged wreath, but I couldn't find any, so I thought this was pretty, and it really ties in the blue from the berries. I love these 2 together. And then lastly, this one, you can take it or leave it. It's up to you. I really like it because I think it makes the wreath look really natural. But I have this fern, and it's a brown color, and this is exactly what you would see out in nature right now, this time of year and all through winter. The fern has, you know, died back, and you're left with this. And I would totally, if this was real, it looks really real. It just makes, it gives it some beautiful winter interest and texture. If you don't like it, you could totally leave it out, but I think it just makes it look very realistic. And it kind of gives it another pop of color. Now that we've gotten the grapevine ready, we're going to add our first layer of greens. I'm going to start with these, and I love that droopiness they have. They're so pretty. So I've got 2 of these stems, and each of them, you just pull them apart, and you get 4. You get 4 of these, and I just take the little really skinny pieces off. And then I don't know if we're going to need the second one. We'll find out. We'll do these first. We'll do a stem and this bundle first, and if we need more, we'll add it. And whatever I use in this wreath, you will have in your kit if you want a kit. So these are already separated, and I just trim the stems a little bit. And these have paper wrap stems. So when I glue them, I make sure to glue all the way up to the greenery so that nothing comes unwrapped. So these are going to provide such a lovely backdrop for our wreath. Gluing the stem and placing it along the grain of the grapevine, kind of in the middle. And then it can fan out a little bit. You can add a good amount of glue there. I love how droopy these are. I think it looks so pretty. And I like to add a droopy greenery kind of earlier on so the other greenery can kind of like hold it back in place. So I'm just going around loosely first, and then we'll fill in more. And these have darker pieces and lighter pieces. I'm just rotating that. Once you've gotten the whole thing covered, you just take your other pieces and fill in. And if it has an extra chunk of something, that happens sometimes in manufacturing, just chop it off. And so now I'm just going to fill in a little bit. So this can cover the inside a little. Just kind of cover your grapevine wherever you think it needs it. All right, and that covered it pretty well, so I don't think we're gonna need this. Next, we're gonna add our 2 bunches of cedar or cypress, whatever you wanna call it. So you just untie the stem, and you can use this as your loop for hanging. It's a nice little piece of jute twine. So we have 3 of these per bundle. So we're just gonna place these evenly around the wreath. So we're gonna put these in between our stems here, place it toward the inside and then facing out. So kind of on the inside, middle to inside of the grapevine, and then angled out. So pretty. All right, so this is what we have so far with our 2 different types of greenery. See how this part kind of like naturally falls differently? I like that. I think it looks really natural. I think it's so pretty. If you don't want them to flow that much, you can always add a little bit of floral wire to the middle of the stem where you put it in if you don't want it to like fall that way with gravity. So see how I love this look. You could tie it here and that'll make it not as droopy. But like I said, I love that look. I think it looks just romantic and elegant. We're gonna add in our year-round eucalyptus. And each of these bundles has a couple seed heads. They have 3 stems of eucalyptus and 2 seed heads. So I have 2 bundles. They have very long stems. We do not need stems this long, so I'm going to be cutting them. I'm going to add the leaves first and then the berries. So we have 6 leaves, so easily we're just going to put them right in between our cypress because we have 6 bundles of cypress, 6 stems. Oops. I'm putting these pretty far in, so everything is going along the grain of the grapevine. Oops. And if it doesn't go, if it gets stuck, you can always cut your stem shorter. Sometimes I have to do that. But as you can see, the back of the wreath is pretty clean, except that one piece I just put through, because we're putting everything very angled along the grain of the grapevine so that it gets lots of good contact and it doesn't stick out the back. All right, now we'll add in our seed heads. We only have 4, which normally I don't like to have 4 of something. I like to have 5, 3, or 7, but 4 is fine because that's what we have. And we're gonna have lots of other things in here, so it's not gonna be a big deal. So I'm just gonna add these around evenly. Not a big deal as long as they're just spaced all the way around. All right, now we have those things in. I love it. Now to fill in all our gaps, we're using our juniper. Now this juniper is absolutely beautiful. It is so beautiful. However, just note, this particular one, these pieces can come off really easily, so you just want to double check. It's totally normal. This happens even with really nice greenery, but this particular one can be a little bit of a pain, but it's so beautiful. I use it anyway. So I just wanted to give you a heads up in case you grab the kit or use this same greenery. You'll probably find some of these pieces falling off. So I just like to pull on them, kind of like with tulip heads, like when I make my tulip wreath. I like to pull on the tulip heads. And if you find a piece that's loose, you just dab a little glue in the hole and then place it on these little nubs and that'll hold it there. So often I will have little spare pieces all over the place. So I'm taking the long piece and then I'm cutting them in half, although I'm wondering, I think I might use some long ones as well. So I'll take some in half and some long, just see how many I use. Maybe I'll just put a whole bush in the kit just in case you want a lot of coverage. So just check and make sure all the pieces are on. We'll see how it looks with the long pieces. You know, I'm going to keep them short. I like having more control. So I'm going to do some short pieces really far on the outside. So all of these I am going to cut in half. So it's going to go on the outside of the grapevine. So the end sticks out with those longer pieces and really fills in. I'll just send a whole bush. So if you have extra, that is fine. And then we'll put this one on the inside. Yeah, I like that a lot. And we're just going to do this all the way around the wreath. We're going to put some on the outside and the inside, and this is really going to fill in everything. So I'm just going to continue on putting these on the inside and the outside so that our wreath is nice and full. I mean, this could be a beautiful winter wreath even without all the extra stuff, but I mean, the extra stuff is going to make it just over the top perfection. So this is a full piece and we're just cutting it in half right above where those two things meet. So we have two picks. I might as well just use the last piece because I have it. It'll make it a nice, even one bush. So I will send a whole bush and you'll probably use it all. So I like to place it underneath because this is a filler. I like it as a backdrop, and look, a piece fell off. So I'm just going to glue it back on. I might actually glue it on the top. It looks better there. Now we have a lovely winter wreath. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to add in our beautiful brown ferns. There's not a lot. We're not going to add a ton, just one stem. This has 4 pieces, so to divide it up a little bit more, I'm going to cut some of them to be a little smaller so that we have more, because the brown is going to stick out a little bit, but I want it to blend in. So I'm just going to cut a couple of them. Well, I'll just cut all of them in half. Trust the process. I know what you're thinking. No, don't add the brown. You don't have to, but trust the process. And I'm gonna, once again, add these kind of underneath things and try and, I don't want it to be a super prevalent color. Even when I did my fresh foraged wreath, I picked some brown, dead looking seed heads because that brown textural interest makes it look so natural and it gives it that interest. So in hopes of making this look like very realistic, I wanted to do the same kind of thing. And my designs are always inspired by nature, you know, the real things. I'll probably use these in the fall too. These are really great. So I'm adding them under things and then inside and outside. So they're really incorporated, but like, you know, a little bit hidden. So they're just poking out a little bit. So I'm just putting these on the side, under everything. Oh, I think it makes the wreath look more interesting. I think it's so pretty. I love it. Okay. There it is with just a little bit of the brown. I love it even more. So fun. Now to the fun part. I mean, it's all fun, but you know, we're gonna add our berries. We have one stem of these, and I love this kind of stem because it's really bendy, and so you can really incorporate and move the berries around so it looks really natural. I keep saying supernatural, but that's not what I mean. I mean very natural. And the stems look so real. They're kind of foamy. Pardon all the glue on my fingers. If you know, you know. But I love they're kind of foamy, but they look very real. I love these. And we also get a pop of that brighter green and another year-round greenery. Separate this. So we will have 5 little clumps of berries. Also, I wanted to show you something. These are foam berries, so oftentimes you'll get a piece that has the berries have broken apart and you'll see some white styrofoam. That is normal. It happens to so many of them. And this is what I do. You can either cut them off, but if you want to keep them on, just dab a little glue on the white part. So if you get one that has a white part showing, all is not lost. You just glue it and hold them together. Give them a nice big hug, and then it'll be glued back together and it's like it was never there. Nicely around the wreath, glue the stem, place it in the grapevine. Oh, I love this. I've kind of been hoarding these berries for a while because I love them so much. And I was just waiting for the perfect time to use them, and I think this wreath is it. So pretty. And if you have an extra one of these little wires sticking out, I just like to wrap it along the base. Look at that, it's so pretty. Okay. Oh, these berries look so good. I love it. I'm going to add in these. I've got 2 stems of these. We'll see if we need both stems or not. I like that the brown in this kind of complements the brown there. I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. Yeah, I love these berries. I'm going to use both because I just love this color. It's so beautiful. Isn't that gorgeous? It just makes it look so rich. Okay. You can stop at every one of these spots, but look at that. Is that not so beautiful? Oh, I love it. Now everything, these 2 things are going to tie everything together. Oh, I'm so excited. It's going to be so pretty. I love these. These are just stunning. I don't know if I'm going to need the leaves. I might save them and I could make little picks. We're going to see if we need that. It's up to you. But I like that they have nice longish stems, so we can make them stick out a little. Each stem has 2 flower heads, so I'm using 3 stems. Let's see, so I'll add them and then I'll just place the leaves to see if I like how they look in here and if I need it. That is kind of pretty. I like that texture. It's also really tedious. So I only have 6 of these, so I'm going to just place them over here, just around. Oh my gosh, they're so fun. Kind of inside and outside. It is kind of going to make a triangle when you do inside and outside like that. Or if you want, you could just put them in a circle, but I like mixing it up a little bit. These are just spectacular. Oh, so pretty. Is that beautiful? I love them. So cute. And now we're going to add in our thistle, and that's kind of going to add that one last texture. This is just so pretty. Wow, I love it. And I think the flowers make it look good. Like you can put this up for spring too. And so I've got 6 of these. Each stem has 3, so I'll have 6 total. I like to do 3 or 5, but anything over 5 is fine. So 6 doesn't bother me. Just 4 or 2 bothers me. I think the thistle just really ties everything together. It really ties in the blueberries and it ties in the scabiosa seed heads. So pretty. Okay, that is gorgeous. Look at that wreath. It is so pretty. I absolutely love it. You know what? Just to give this more of that wild look, wildflower look, I'm going to see what these look like in there. So you just take them off and then they have a little hole right there. We're going to make picks. So all you do is take any kind of trash stem you have. I call this my tulip trash. And then you cut a piece off, dab some glue in that hole, and then you have a nice pick. Isn't that pretty? So I'm just going to do that to the rest of these leaves, and then we will add them to the wreath. And I think it's going to help tie in the eucalyptus better. All right, now we're just going to add these around just to add another greenery texture that has a little bit of silver or blue undertones, which really helps tie in this eucalyptus. See how nice it looks next to the eucalyptus? Because our evergreens have somewhat of a warmer tone. So I think this is going to help blend everything together. But it does make this wreath look really interesting when you look up close. I don't know, tell me what you think. Do you like it with the scabiosa leaves in there, or do you like it without? All right. Here is our wreath all done. I love this. It's so pretty. Here's from the side. Here's the back. Looks really, really good. What do you think? And if you want a kit while supplies last, I'll have it linked in the description below so you can grab one. And I hope you make one. I love it. It's so pretty. Perfect as a winter wreath, but also all the way to spring. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.